Greetings everyone, groet allemaal. Today we are going to talk about words in Afrikaans and English that sound the same but don't mean the same, or are spelled the same but don't necessarily pronounce the same and or mean the same as in the other language. I gathered quite a list of words, but let's start for now with the word roof, which in English and Afrikaans that are spelled exactly the same, but have two very different meanings. In Afrikaans it has the same spelling as in English, except that we pronounce it roof instead of roof, and it has two meanings which aren't either of them something you would want. It's not wantable anyway, because in Afrikaans the meaning for the word roof is either robbing, stealing, or a wound. Well, not the wound itself, the base layer of the wound, like the man, I should have researched that part. Oh well, a wound, or the overcoating of the wound. I cannot think of another word to describe it in English at this point. Sorry. The difference is just so shocking. In English, it just means the upper horizontal wall of a house, and well, sometimes more of a diagonal wall, but still a dak, a roof. But in Afrikaans, it's just so wildly different and so like tragic in a way. But moving on. So the next word on our list is face. Hier komt het. Anyway. So, this word is not spelled the same in Afrikaans versus in English, because it isn't, but also I would argue that depending on the mood, the day and the speaker, it could sound slightly less or slightly more similar to face in English. It is face or voice, because I think you're actually supposed to say voice instead of face, but I think I've heard it be pronounced face, just on a random. Also you can say voice, like my voice. Its meaning in Afrikaans is, I kind of gave it away a few moments ago, is fist, which like actually just singular, vuiste is the plural. Still, it's the word for a hand in combat mode, or alternatively fist bump mode. Yeah, that's basically it. I can't think of it meaning anything else at the moment. Just fist, just face. While in English, its meaning is it's quite just, it could mean a few things that are related to like its face or my face. It's not necessarily tied to a person specifically. You can use it for many things. But before I go into a accidental rant about the specifics on what the word face can or cannot mean, because I know I am capable of getting there if I do not veer myself from getting there. But anyway, so moving on, we have duck. Now duck is another one that isn't spelled the same. Afrikaans has it one way, English puts an extra K in there for some reason and a U instead of an A, but they sound the same. Duck. Just duck. This one is interesting because in English it means like something like a warning given that something, a warning or an action to prevent something or someone from seeing or hitting your head, which is kind of specific actually for some reason. Or it could mean a specific kind of bird that likes water and can like swim on the water. And in Afrikaans, the word just means like that is Afrikaans for roof. So basically just the Afrikaans for the upper horizontal wall of a building. So yeah, which is very interesting, I think. By the way, I don't think duck has a secondary meaning in Afrikaans. No, I don't think so, but I'm not sure at the moment. The next word on our list is die. So in Afrikaans and in English, spelled exactly the same, pronounced not exactly the same, and meaning you thought duck is really different. In English, the word is not necessarily something you would want to hear or experience, although, and we know it's pronounced die, but in Afrikaans it's die, and in Afrikaans it's not an action, it's like, it's the word for the in Afrikaans. So, for example, die koffiewater is in die ketel as jy dit soek. So, rough translation of what I just said, the coffee water is in the kettle if you are looking for it. So, yeah, we actually use the word die quite a lot, and it's just the word for the in Afrikaans. So that's something. Now another word that sounds like die but is spelled differently, and also because it is pronounced like die, it can also be like hair dye instead, so that's preferable, I guess. It's the spelling that's different this time, and the meaning is also, it's linked to die, but not exactly. It's more like that instead of the, or those. It's really hard to specifically describe the meaning of the word die, but I think what makes the confusion even more confusing is that die isn't even the actual word. It's like it's slang in a way, because like the actual word, the full word, is dardi. So, and there we have di again, but it's like one word. And explaining it is kind of hard because it's not a thing or a place or a person or something. It's more like pointing out a person or a thing that is sometimes, more often than not, when you refer it as dardi, you usually are talking about something that is not in your immediate area, which makes it so I say it's more like saying that or those in English, because it's a specifier, but it has this weird extra definition of usually whatever it's specifying is not necessarily around, which I think is kind of interesting, because sometimes words just go extra specific without asking permission to be, and sometimes the results are just, I think, fascinating, because, I mean, trying to describe it with words other than the word itself is sometimes just so hard. Moving on, our next word, or next pair of words, is red. Okay, so this word I think is very interesting because of the fact that I feel that the two meanings, while different, do have a shared connection in some unexplainable way. That's how my brain registers it. And so let's start with the spellings. They are the same, and they are said the same, although I think in English the D is slightly more like it sounds like you are saying the D, while in Afrikaans the D is supposed to be more like sounding like you are saying a D, but for some reason every time I try to say it, it sounds like I'm saying it with a T instead, because it's like, I don't know, really hard for some reason to just say red ma in Afrikaans. So just red, and it like sounds like a T but it's a D for some reason, because pronunciation and spelling often have disagreements, and it's not just in English or Afrikaans. It's I think in every language there is an encounterment with that, what do you call it, misconnection. But anyway, even in my language there are words that have a pronunciation in which I struggle to get letters that have that sound. Like swirly, for example. How are you supposed to spell that? Anyway, so the meaning of red, while in English it has quite a cool meaning. It's a color, it's, I would say, a reference sometimes, like when you say it was, I just see red, like it's like referencing madness or something. So red has this underlining meaning of a few things actually, like it can have different meanings for different people, but it's still red, it's still a color, it's still the color of the most known rose. I mean, when you hear the word rose, you always, or at least I immediately think of a red rose for some reason. If I hear the word wine, my brain immediately thinks red wine. I don't know why, but it is, red wine is slightly better than white wine though. But anyway, regardless of that, in Afrikaans, red isn't a color, it's a deed, an action, a werkwoord mostly, in which the act of saving something or someone, for example, red daardie kombers, or red daardie mens uit die swembad uit, save that blanket or save that person out of the swimming pool, because it's just, I just think that somehow saving someone and the color red are in a strange way connected, almost like this in ons bloed, it's in our blood, you know, like saving people, wanting to save people. And there's a few other reasons why I think it's connected, but that is the first one that came to mind right now. But anyway, so to me, I feel like though it's two different meanings, they do share a kind of connection that I don't really know how to describe in specific words that would make enough sense, because I think it would like sound like a very vague poem if I had to use a lot of like specific words and stuff. I'm ranting again, but anyway. And that is all for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all enjoy a very nice day.